we want to do is we want to make a lidded jar. This is more of an advanced project. Takes a little more skill, but it's basically using the same ideas: building a cylinder, stretching it out, taking a measurement, building a top for it, and applying it to it. So what we're going to do, we'll get started. First of all, what I'm going to do, get in tight to your body. Let's get this thing centered. Get it centered. Up into the cone, back down. Okay, there we go. What we're going to make is a volume with a very thick lip at this point. And the reason we want a real thick lip in this is because we're going to fillet it down a little bit so that we have room to put a lid inside of it. I'm going to show you a fairly simplistic kind of pot to make. Notice that I'm making smaller things right now. It's always easier to make, well, it's not easier, but you can make bigger things doing the same techniques. Okay. First of all, we made our cylinder a little bit. I'm going to bring that cylinder up. I want to also come in here and compress this in, or we're going to just come in here just like that. Bring that clay in. I want to keep it in as tight as I can because centrifugal force will always push it out. And then I'm also going to come in here and I'm going to compress that clay down a little more. Bring it back in like that. I want to have a real thick lip. Look how thick that is right there. And it's thick all the way down to about there. It can be thin after this, but it's got to be thick up in here. The more clay, the better right now. Okay, so we're going to come in here to the bottom. I'm going to lift that up just a little bit more so we've got a little height to it. And we're just going to make kind of a cylinder form. Maybe I'll give it a little bit of a volume to it just to kind of give it a little bit of character. And I can do that with my rib, similar to what we did with our bowl. When we did our stretch bowl, add a little moisture. I'm going to come at the bottom down here. I'm going to give it a little more volume. You might call it a small honey pot or a cookie, little baby cookie jar for very small hands. Sugar jar or honey pot might work better. Okay, we've got that rounded. I'm actually going to collar that in a little bit more. I'm squeezing it in. Remember how thick this is? Got lots of room up here. Okay. Now what we're going to do with this lip is it's sitting up here like this. I'm going to come right in the middle of it. I'm going to use a thing called a boxwood modeling tool. That's kind of a fancy name for pretty much a thing that looks like a knife, a little pointed stick, but it's called a boxwood modeling tool. This takes a little bit of practice. I'm going to add some moisture to it. This has to be centered. What we're going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut down right in the center. Got to hold nice and steady, and I'm going to cut down quite a ways. We're going to come down about that far, about almost a ½ inch. Okay. Well, and then the next thing is, if you notice on the back side of this, it looks kind of like a tongue depressor. You go to the doctors and they ask you to say "ah," and they push down. Well, we're going to do basically the same thing. I'm going to do it at a little bit of an angle. I'm going to add a little tiny bit of moisture so that it'll be well lubricated. And the easiest way is just slide it right down that tool, just like that. Adds a little moisture to it. I'm going to hold real steady. We're going to come in here just like that, and we're going to fillet that down just like that. So we have a nice flat surface there, and that's the surface that our lid's going to fit on. Okay? We can add handles and all sorts of this stuff later. Now, one of the problems, if you have really thick clay, and this is a really broad surface, you can go ahead and cut some of it loose. And the easiest way is just to come in here, take your needle tool, hold real steady. I usually like to put my finger, just lightly trail it on here, and I'm going to cut a little of that edge off, just like that, so I can get my hand down in there. I'm just going to let it drop in there, and you can come in here and, if I'm lucky, up, get down inside there and pick it back out. See if I can do the old, there we go. Okay, now I'm going to turn it back up to speed a little bit, smooth up those edges. If I want to, I can come in here and work that just a little bit more. So I got a little, what I want is not necessarily a flat surface across here. I want it to come a little bit down so that lid will fit in there and sit nice. So we're going to do that. I did that with my finger a little bit just to make sure that that adjusts in there. So now we've got the surface of this thing done. We want to go ahead and make sure that we clean out any moisture that may be in the bottom of this. Sometimes you can get a sponge on a stick and get down in there. Depends on how big it is. But I made this big enough that I can get down there and it's not too tall. It's kind of a little squatty kind of thing. Then I'm going to go ahead and we're going to cut it loose. And then we have to measure this. Because we need to know how big the lid is that's going to go on here. Very important. We have a thing called a caliper. And these are the cool new calipers that are out now that do both jobs for you, as you can see them. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure the distance between the inside to inside, right dead center. So we're going to get the radius across here, or diameter. I'm sorry. And we have to hold real steady. So you got to kind of build yourself up and figure out where it is. And so we see that that's our radius. Now, the top of our pot's going to sit right here. Okay, I'm going to show you how to make a pot lid, jar lid, that you do all at once.